Judy. 21-year-old Erin Shoestrich is suing Brian Bolton for fraud and theft regarding the sale of a car.
All rise. This case number 373 on the calendar in the matter of Shoestrich versus Bolton. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Shoestrich, before I get started with this case, I have one important question to ask you. Would you look at the defendant? Have you seen him before?
No, I have not.
Never?
No.
This is not the person to whom you gave money.
This is the person I sold the car to. It was through a third party or he organized someone, but this was the person who was in possession of the car and I sold the car to.
Did money exchange between you and this gentleman?
Yes, through a third party. $7,000 in cash.
But today is the first time you're seeing him?
In person, yes.
Okay. Now, you purchased a car from an ad that you read in the paper.
On Craigslist, Your Honor, yes.
Or so old, from Craigslist. You purchased the car on what date?
On November 7th, 2018.
And at the time that you bought the car, you had not heard of Mr. Bolton?
No, Your Honor.
Now, turns out that you couldn't register the car. The car had a lien on it, couldn't get a title. Turns out the car was somehow involved in an estate. Don't know who it is. And somehow you got to Mr. Bolton, right?
This is correct, Your Honor.
And now you have possession of a car that you can't register.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Bolton, what do you know about a 2015 Subaru Crosstrek?
We answered an ad from Craigslist.
Who's we?
My wife and myself.
On what date?
I would guesstimate approximately October 26th, 25th, right in there. October 2018, sorry.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Bolton?
I'm retired, but I do have a interior design business, and I'm also in the flagstone business. I have Rock in the Quarry.
What are you retired from?
Interior design.
Does your wife work?
No, ma'am. She's a homemaker.
And tell me where you live.
Well, Bonsall, California, but I also reside in Arizona as well.
You have your own home or you rent?
We own.
Is it a rural area?
Orchard. We're on an orchard.
Does your wife have a car?
No, this was to be her first car.
You have a car?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What kind of car do you have?
Cadillac Escalade.
What year?
2004.
All paid for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I want you to tell me, you bought this car from Craigslist in October of 2018. Who did you buy it from?
We bought it from a Charles Griffin.
Do you have any paperwork?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it, please.
Would you like all the evidence or just...
No, let me unfold this story so that a person of my age understands it. Okay, this is the ad that you answered.
There was one. We missed the one because he deleted the original ad, which was for $7,500 for that car. But I found that he had a previous ad that was promoted in Tijuana for $5,000.
Now, did you ever see any of this evidence?
The defendant's evidence, no. But I do have the ID, one, that was handed to me the night I purchased the car.
The Charles Griffin ID.
It was a piece of paper that was given to me. That was not the person that sold me the vehicle, Your Honor.
That's not what I'm asking you. You did not share any of your evidence with the defendant.
No.
And I assume that this is the ID that Mr. Griffin gave you when you purchased the car.
Yes, ma'am. We required it because he did not have a clear title.
I would just like you to take a look at this. See if any of it looks familiar to you.
Thank you.
Did the other gentleman in the photograph look familiar to you?
This ID image looks familiar to me, yes. And so does the car.
So does the car?
Yes.
And the person who's in the photograph with the defendant, is that the person who you gave money to?
I do not see their faces in this photograph.
Fine. Is the person that you gave money to the person in that ID?
No.
Not?
He is not.
Okay. But the name on the ID was the same name that you had as the owner?
As the registered owner on the DMV documents.
Yes. Same name?
Yes.
Okay. And the insurance card was also a card that the person who you gave money to, how much did you give him?
We gave them $5,000.
For the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he gave you a Geico insurance card in his name that was from September 15th to March 15th of 2019. Did you also get an insurance card from this guy?
No, I did not.
Okay. These messages that you're sending were before you met him. Some of them were before some.
During the process, yes.
Okay. In any event, you bought the car, put it in front of your house. What did you do with it?
Well, then once he stopped responding to the emails, because after he got the mail, he was supposed to meet us the next day.
To give you the title.
Title and the second set of keys and a visor.
And he didn't.
Correct.
And you texted him, which I see here, and he never met you. And then what did you do?
Well, now we're running scared. So trying to find out about the car, the police would not allow us to file a report because you have some form of dealings with this gentleman. It's a civil matter. Then we started filing through the DMV Investigation Bureau. So we filed that report, and they also have an Internet Complaint Referral Form, Internet Crime Complaint Center. So we processed that.
Ultimately, what happened with the car? Because somehow some third party got possession of this car.
The week of November, approximately a second, because I was from Texas, I come home and that car is gone. I talked to my wife. I said, honey, because we didn't want...
Don't tell me what she said. So the car is gone?
The car's gone.
Would the police take a report?
At that time, we had tried to talk to the police. The second time I went back there talking to a Sergeant Pearson, 3 times we called him, no return phone call. No return phone call. No return phone call. So that at that time, we had processed all the documents with the DMV investigation because the police said because the car is not in your name.
Okay, so now the car is taken sometime November 2nd, and you answer an ad on what date?
Answer an ad on November 5th.
So a couple of days later,
yes,
somebody's back on Craigslist selling the same car.
If I may state, Your Honor, I spoke to San Diego Non-Emergency PD and California CHP on January 17th. I have the numbers written down, and both of them said in California...
Don't tell me what they said.
Of course. In California...
Don't tell me what they said.
Okay.
Perfect. Now, on November 5th, you answered an ad in Craigslist.
Yes.
And you met a person, not the defendant, who had possession of this Subaru, who said he was Charles Griffin.
It was on November 7th, Your Honor.
November 7th. Okay. I said you answered an ad on the 5th, I thought.
Yes.
From a person whose name was Charles Griffin. You purchased the car on the 7th.
Yes.
You couldn't title the car.
Correct.
The person from whom you bought the car was a thief. He's a scammer. That's clear from what I'm hearing.
May I state, the defendant stated that the car was stolen from his home. His home has security cameras and is within a gated community.
Let me explain something to you, madam. You are not going to convince me that the defendant is a thief.
No.
You are not going to convince me of that.
No, I believe he committed fraud. I believe he posed, he had the car, he got scanned by Charles Griffin, who sold him the car. He tried to register with the DMV. He could not. He opened up a DMV investigation.
Just a second. This is a story you're making up in your own head.
No.
No, this is a story. I want you to tell me, because I know the story that you're making up in your head. I just want you to show me proof that the defendant conspired. Show me proof that the defendant conspired with a third person that we don't know to pretend to be Charles Griffin to sell some other unsuspecting person a car because he got defrauded, so he was going to make back some of his money from being defrauded. That's what you're suggesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you're suggesting. I want to see proof of it.
Okay. I have this ID.
May I see that, please? I would like to see what you're showing me.
This is Bolton's ID on top of a bill of sale. Bolton's wife's ID on top of a bill of sale.
When Mr. Griffin gave you his driver's license, did you exchange information with your wife?
He took my wife's driver's license because he was going to send us documents warranty.
Because it was going to be in her name.
Yes.
Next! What?
Another piece of evidence. The
I'd
original.
like to see it. I don't know what this is. Hi, Aaron. Brian is expecting your call. Brian David Bolton is the guy that sold you the car, is waiting to hear from you. I hope you call him. He wants to give you back your money. Call him tonight. Doesn't matter. Just call him and get your damn money back. Do you know who sent you that?
Charles Roger Griffin. Charles Roger Griffin.
Next!
Your Honor, if I may. The defendant claims he was not able to report the car stolen, but we checked with multiple police officers. You can report a car stolen.
Sit down. You can't tell me that. It's hearsay. Don't tell me what you...
Would you like to call the San Diego PD yourself?
Listen.
I will sit down, Your Honor, but I welcome you to call the police yourself.
I have to tell you something. It is my job, and I've been doing it for 50 years, to try to figure out whether somebody looks to me as if they have been the subject of a fraud or the perpetrator of a fraud. And you can either conjure up one of two stories, that this man... By the way, when was the last time you were released from prison?
I've been sober for 32 years.
When was the last time you've been released from prison? You've been sober for 32 years. When was the last time you were released from prison?
I would have to backtrack the days from 2019 to 32 years, March 12th.
March 12th, 32 years ago, and that had to do with alcohol?
I've been sober for 32 years.
Do you get what I'm talking about? What
Your
you
Honor,
suggest?
Hey,
I'm speaking.
Yes.
I'm speaking.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I reached out to Brian Bolton's number, telling him I had the 2015 Subaru and I wanted to get in contact with him. If this car truly was stolen from this man, why would he not want to get in contact with me? He did not return my calls.
Did you get a call from her, Mr. Bolton?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erin Shoestrick says Brian Bolton defrauded her regarding the sale of a car. Brian claims a third party who also defrauded him is to blame.
What I'm telling you is you got duped. So did he. And what you want me to believe is that a person who has no criminal history, who lives in 2 homes, who has a paid-for car, decided to risk everything, including his wife's picture, in order to unload a piece of either stolen property or a piece of property that couldn't be resold because it was sold for whatever reason. And he chose to perpetrate a fraud on you by hiring a third party to sell you this car. I don't believe it, and you cannot prove it. I could give you from today till tomorrow. You're not going to be able to prove it.
I reached out to Brian Bolton's number, 714. On December 17th, 2018, telling him I had the 2015 Subaru and I wanted to get in contact with him. If this car truly was stolen from this man, why would he not want to get in contact with me? If this car was stolen from me, I would be like, yes, that is my car. It was stolen on this date. I would like to get in contact with you to get it back because it is my rightful property. He never reached out to me. He wanted nothing to do with me. He did not return my calls.
Did you get a call from her, Mr. Bolton?
If there was any indication in any way, shape, or form about a 2015 Subaru, I would have called her faster than a New York minute, okay?
Do you have a copy of the text that you sent
Never, ever
him?
did I get a text in regards to 2015 Subaru. Otherwise, I would have extended her the courtesy and every bit of how we got scammed, because my bad was I thought I dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. I can only say never, ever buy a car unless you see that clear title in hand.
May the defendant confirm that that is his correct phone number?
You have no case. I suggest you get in touch with the police. And if the police can't help you, I absolutely don't understand why. This man did not steal your car.
Your Honor, this car was stolen from him.
We're done. Thank you very much.
One more thing, please. We have the bill of sale and...
Excuse me. I'm not listening to you. Sit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He gained $7,000. He had extra $3,000. Of course he doesn't care where his car went. He got extra money.
Listen,
his car's gone.
The bill of sale
Just a
has
second.
signature.
You didn't prove to me that you gave the defendant a penny. Don't say I gave him money. You didn't prove that you gave him any money.
And later today,
You asked him to come over one evening to hang your television set.
Yes.
And he came over, and he was trying to hang the television set, and the television set broke.
It did.
And you want him to pay for it.
Absolutely.
He's not.
I don't understand why.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erin Shoestrich is accusing Brian Bolton of scamming her out of a car she purchased from him.
What I'm telling you is there is no proof, and I don't believe that this man hired somebody to sell your sister, daughter, whoever it is, either. He's not the culprit. Find the right culprit, not the easy target. We're done.
He did not get rid of it, and he gained $7,000. He had extra $3,000. He bought it for $5,000. I sold it to him for $7,000. Of course, he doesn't care where his car went. He got extra money.
Listen,
his car's gone.
The bail of sale
Just a
has the
second.
signature
You
over it.
didn't give him any money. You didn't prove to me that you gave the defendant a penny. Don't say I gave him money. You didn't prove that you gave him any money. There is no evidence that you gave him any money in exchange for a car. You never saw him before you walked into court today. You want me to link up this man with a scam, and I'm telling you, you can't do it, and I want you to try.
He cannot prove the car is stolen. Can you prove the car was stolen?
Bye, we're done.
What is your excuse? You may step out.
It's a difficult situation that she's in. I understand that, but I am not the culprit.
He was in the same position I was. He was scammed by the car, and he made $2,000 off me.
I'm sorry. That didn't happen, first of all.
He is the last person to own the vehicle. He is the last person to have possession of the vehicle.
And I'll probably never see the $5,000.
The car was never stolen from him. It cannot be proved stolen from him.
We thought we dotted all the I's and crossed the T's. We got caught.
Make sure the title is more important than a bill of sale and a pair of keys.
Never receive a car without a clear title.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Taylor versus Milton. Step forward.
Shatavia Taylor is suing her coworker, Emmanuel Milton, for breaking her flat-screen TV while in the process of hanging it.
Miss Taylor, do you and Mr. Milton work together, or
Yes.
did you?
Yes, we do.
What kind of work do you do?
Supervisor at Capital One.
Capital One is a bank.
Yes.
And what kind of work do you do, sir?
Supervisor at Capital One also.
So you're in the banking business?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you bought a television set. You wanted it hung.
Yes, I did.
So you called your friend, he was your friend, and you asked him to come over one evening to hang your television set.
Yes, I did.
And he came over, and he was trying to hang the television set, and the television set broke.
It did.
Right? And you want him to pay for it.
Absolutely.
He's not.
Okay.
That's it.
I don't understand why.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
You asked him to do you a favor.
Right,
You knew
which
he
he
had
said
no
he can
particular
do.
expertise in doing it because you know he's a full-time employee just like you are at Capital One. Why in the world would you think he would be responsible unless you can demonstrate that he did something maliciously to your television set? If he broke the television set accidentally while he was doing you a favor, he's not responsible for it.
Well, he did inform me that he would be able to put the TV up. He knew how to put the TV up, so I took his word for it.
It's not happening for you.
But he told
You
me he
want a
would pay.
TV installer, get a TV installer. A TV installer is the right person to hang a TV on your wall.
I'm very well aware of that, Your Honor,
Very good.
but
Very good.
he already told me that he would pay, so if he's telling me that he would pay, then I'm assuming that he's going to give me the money for it.
If he told you he would pay, and if he wants to pay, fine. If you're asking me to order him to pay, I'm not ordering him to pay. If he was doing you a favor outside of his area of expertise and absent of showing that he did something maliciously, he's not responsible. If he had an accident while doing you a favor that you asked him to do, knowing that this was not his regular form of employment, he had no particular expertise greater than you had,
Right.
he's not responsible. He's not responsible for me to order him. If he feels morally obligated to pay for it, go ahead and pay her.
Not at all.
Great. Bye.
What is your excuse? You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Manuel did say that he can do it for me. I thought he would be able to do it, but
Shatavia wanted me to come over and do that for weeks. I was trying to avoid it.
he came over a little drunk and he wanted more than what was expected of him, and I didn't want to give him that, so.
I didn't have any drinks. I had just got off of work. Now, she had had a few glasses of wine and the music was playing and the mood was set when I got there.
He threw a little sexual hints at me, but, you know, I didn't want that from him.
But she was attracted to me, and that's why she had me come over at 12:30 at night.
It's a lesson learned. Go ahead and pay somebody to go ahead and put your TV up instead.
It's not a friendship at this point.
Miss Johnson says, we were making me a 50th birthday party.
His girlfriend's bash put a dent in his finances.
Did you agree to make this party for her?
No, Your Honor, I agreed for the loan on the party.
So this we all of a sudden becomes a he.
And her big day was over the top.
He helped me make this party as extravagant as it became.
How much was the birthday party altogether?
$9,000.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Thaddeus Jackson is suing his ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Johnson, for an unpaid loan to pay for her 50th birthday party.
Order. All rise. It's case number 343 on the calendar in the matter of Jackson versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Party's been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Jackson, you and the defendant you say you were friends. I have a sense from reading this that you were dating friends. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And it is your claim that Miss Johnson owes you for two things. One, a loan that you made to her to get a car. With regard to that loan, Ms. Johnson seems to acknowledge that loan. She said, however, your car was repossessed.
Yes, ma'am.
And in order to get your car out of the impound, you needed some money. And Mr. Johnson advanced you that money and, according to you, told you that if you paid a furniture bill of his, then you were square on that loan.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How much was it to get her car out of impound and when?
It's almost $1,700.
And the furniture bill she's talking about was $1,000?
I have no acknowledgement of a furniture bill.
Had you bought any furniture on a credit card or anything else that she was aware
I hadn't
of?
bought any furniture at that time.
Okay. Now, give me the story and show me proof that you paid a bill for him for $1,100.
Yes, ma'am. I got the money from...
But just tell me about it. I don't...
Okay. When he told me, he said, just take the money and put it on my Cons, and Cons is a furniture store. Put it on the Cons bill. So I put $1,100 on his bill, the Best Buy bill. It was a Best Buy payment for $1,100 to Thaddeus V. Jackson.
Can I see it? Okay, would you show this to Mr. Jackson, please?
I have a copy of that, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what it's about.
I made two charges for the $1,700, almost $1,700 that was needed on February 12th of the 18th. She gave me $1,100 back on that particular Best Buy card. There was no furniture involved.
Okay, so she gave you $1,100 back, so she owes you
still owes $687. $687.82.
Okay, good. She owes you $687.82. On that bill.
Yes, sir.
Now, the next part is that it is your claim that the defendant was celebrating a big birthday and she wanted a party and she asked you for money to help make the party. You gave her some, and then when you got to the party, the vendors hadn't been paid, and according to you, you advanced her another $2,700. Ms. Johnson says that we were making me a 50th birthday party. That's what you wrote in your answer.
Yes.
We were making me a 50th birthday party. Well, let me ask you this question, Ms. Johnson. How much was the birthday party altogether?
I really am not sure because
Well,
I
if
didn't...
we were making me a birthday party, we would know how much the birthday party was, because I'm going to find out how much it was and how much you contributed.
Okay, Mr. Jackson was giving me the funds.
No, he wasn't giving you the funds.
Okay.
You said in your answer, we were making me a birthday party.
Okay.
Not Zachary was making me a birthday party. We were making me a birthday party. So how much was the party and how much did you contribute?
The total of the birthday party was approximately $9,000.
And how much did you contribute?
About $4,000.
I'd like to see proof of that.
I don't have any here, Your Honor.
Well, that's what we're here for today. Who did you pay?
I paid for the decorations.
Well, if you paid for the decorations, did somebody do the decorations or did you buy them in a store?
I bought them in the store.
Well, if it was $4,000 or $1,000, then you would have a receipt from a store for $1,000.
The caterer was $1,800.
You have a receipt from the caterer?
No, ma'am.
Did you pay the caterer by check or cash?
I paid in PayPal.
Well, then you would have a record of that. PayPal has a record. What's next?
The bartender, she was $175.
What's next?
My dress.
Who cares about your dress? He's not going to buy your dress.
Okay.
He's not buying you your dress. Next.
That's what I put in.
Okay, so far you didn't put in anything because you have no proof of the decorations, you have no proof of the caterer.
Okay.
Okay, so this we all of a sudden becomes a he. Now, did you agree to make this party for her?
No, Your Honor, I agreed for the loan on the party. At the time, we were dating in a relationship. I'm living in Dallas, she's living in Houston, and I'm thinking that she is going to have, the monies to make the rest of the party when I made the initial loan to get the deposit going on the venue. So I have a withdrawal.
Well, I'd like you to tell me, what was the conversation? You're living in two different cities. What was the conversation about this initial, as you call it, a loan?
The conversation was, I need to borrow some money to get started for the party. I'll pay you back when I get my taxes in January or February. So that started the initial deposit of $2,000 into her account.
Now, I gather from reading your paper, sir, that a lot of this was money that you didn't have.
Exactly.
That you borrowed from your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you work?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you work for?
Quest Diagnostics Laboratories in Houston, Texas.
Did you get money from your taxes back?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
Approximately $2,507 or something like that.
And when did you get your tax money back?
March. May I say something, Your Honor? I did not ask him to borrow the money, and I did not tell him until I moved to Dallas about the taxes and things like that, because Ms. Jones was calling me at work asking me about the money. I didn't tell him that at the very beginning when we were talking about the birthday party. And the reason why I say we is because I was speaking to him. This was my friend for over 13 years. We discussed it. He made suggestions on how we should have the birthday party. He put the music together for my grand entrance. He put the grand entrance together. So that's why I say we, because he helped me to make this party as extravagant as it became.
He wasn't paying for the party. He had to borrow the money from his mother. So it's suggested to me that if you wanted a party for $10,000, you had to have money to pay for it, at least half of it.
Right.
And you didn't.
I wouldn't have asked him if he would have told me he was borrowing the money from his mom. I thought that he was giving me a gift. We've had extravagant vacations, extravagant everything. He's always...
In what month and year did you break up with Mr. Jackson?
This year, things started going bad in March, so I left and moved back home to Houston.
March, the same month when you got your taxes back. The same month that you got your taxes back, the two of you broke up. I'm asking you a question. You said you got your taxes back in March, and that's the month that you say you moved back and the two of you broke up. What?
I moved back in May.
Oh, I thought you said that things weren't going well.
No, things start going. I stayed there trying to keep our relationship together. I didn't move back until May. I stayed there in another room.
Well, that doesn't mean that it's going well. That means that you weren't going to give him money when you got your taxes back. Mr. Johnson, do you have any acknowledgement of a debt for the birthday party?
Do I have any acknowledgement of
in writing, either by text or email?
Yes.
May I see it?
This is a text showing apology for messing up my finances. This is her tax estimate, which is more than $2,000.
Okay, can I see the text?
I also have a text here that says that the only thing I've ever done for her was loan her money, and I have a check with a balance acknowledging how much the loan was.
Just a second. What is the next thing that you have?
I have another text that says the only thing I've ever done for her was loan her money.
Yes,
and then I have the initial check that was written to my mom in agreement to repay the loan, showing a $4,700 with a $4,200 balance in her writing.
This is unimportant to me, this check. Would you look at the last thing that you wrote to him?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with
I know.
the loans that I've made, I paid him back when they were loans.
There were only one loan that I know about. What other loan is there?
He's loaned me money to take care of cell phones. He's loaned me money to buy shoes. Anytime we discuss a loan, I paid him back.
Well, you didn't pay him back for the car.
That's what he asked me to do. He said, take that and put it on. This is the agreement that we made sitting in his office. He said, tell you what, just put this on the cons bill. So that's what I did. He didn't say anything else about the balance.
Mr. Johnson, how much did you have to pay the venue the day that you arrived and you found out that the vendors hadn't been paid?
The venue had to be paid $1,200 along with her son that paid a portion of that balance as well. So the venue.
The Mauling.
Her dog began attacking my dog.
It's not true.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
I'd like you to tell me what happened.
Okay, so we met August 29th.
That I got.
So we text back and forth, and we spoke September 3rd around 10 p.m. And she asked me if I want to hang out. So I told her it's too late. So we talked for about 10 minutes, and I was like, I'll be going to bed soon. And the phone hung up on her hand. I went to bed. Then I woke up middle of the night to all her text messages apologizing for the phone being cut off. And from that apologizing to using curse word and all kind of word that why am I ignoring her and all sort of stuff. I have the text messages here.
I'd like to see them. Okay, so there was some nasty texts back and forth. That was on September the 3rd.
Correct.
You indicated in your complaint that Miss Mendoza came to your home.
Yes, so...
At what time?
Around 9 a.m. of September 4th.
Okay, did she ring your bell?
She did not.
Did she just come in?
So my roommate was going out. When he opened the door, she was in front of the door and she pushed herself in.
Well, so you didn't see that, but that's what you gather. She entered the house. You didn't give her permission to enter your house. All right, she entered your house and?
So she was screaming, where is he, where is he? And she walked to the kitchen. She didn't see me. Then she came straight to the bedroom. So she threw her phone and the phone landed on the bed. So I was like, what's going on? And she was like, why are you ignoring me, blah, blah, blah. So I went to the living room and she followed me. So my roommate calmed her down. Then after that, my roommate was going out. So he was like, can I go now? I said, yeah. So I was like, what's going on? So I told her to have a seat. I was like, we're not dating or anything. So why are you acting this way? She was like, yeah, you were ignoring my text. I called you.
All right, she said you were ignoring her. She was annoyed. You were ignoring her. Let's move on from there.
So
we're at 9 o'clock.
She later apologized and said she's sorry. So I said, okay, so now you have to leave. And she was like, I want to apologize to your friend. So my friend went to the store. In like 30 minutes, he was back. So when he came back, she was talking to my friend. So I took the trash out. While I was walking back from dumping the trash, I just saw my car in front of my apartment. I saw scratch all over the car. There was words written on it. So I came upstairs and asked her, what did you do to my car? And she was like, that she didn't do it, that her boyfriend did it. I was like, how did your boyfriend come here? She was like, since I ignored her, she was in my apartment inside her car all through the night. She said she was in the car. So she said she invited her boyfriend over and they were talking and the boyfriend got mad. I was like, that doesn't...
So she blamed the scratches on your car on a boyfriend.
On her boyfriend.
May I see the scratches on your car? You go to college?
Yes.
What year are you in?
Junior.
What are you studying?
Business management.
You should study spelling.
I didn't write that on his card.
Okay. Now, you indicate in your complaint, sir, that you have a text from Miss Mendoza spelling the word liar the same way that someone spelled the word liar,
yes, Your
L-I-E-R, on your car. Put your hand down. Do you have a text
yes,
from
Your
her?
Honor.
I'd like to see it.
Here's the word. It's at the bottom.
See, when you write nasty things and you write them fast, I'm a very bad speller. It's never my strong suit. I couldn't spell his last name, which is very long, unless I studied it for a long time. Mm-hmm. But my third grader grandchild knows how to spell liar. And it's not L-I-E-R.
Okay, well, I didn't write it.
You wrote this.
No, I didn't. I didn't even send those text messages, Your Honor.
No. Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did not.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Well, if you didn't, what's your boyfriend's name?
My boyfriend? He didn't send those either.
Just pay careful attention to
it. It wasn't my boyfriend, for one.
Just a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Name, address, telephone number of the person that you told the plaintiff scratched his car. Name, address, and telephone number. You going to give it to me?
Name, address? No, because there was no one that I know that scratched his car.
I want you to understand, Miss Mendoza. I believe every word that he said.
I don't see why. You didn't even hear my side of the story
Just a second.
Yet.
Because that is what I'm paid to do for 50 years. Evaluate somebody's demeanor and facts. Pictures. Fact that you don't deny you went to his house.
I never said I went to his house.
You didn't go to his house on September 4th?
No, ma'am.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a police report?
No, he does not.
I asked him if he has a police report.
Okay, well, he doesn't have it because it didn't happen.
And also, I have a recording. The night he came to my house, she dropped a voice message, like a 5-second voice message, cussing me out that I'm lucky that I didn't open the door. She was going to mess me up.
May I hear it?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did he say prior to that?
You lucky because I will beat you up in that. That's for real.
Okay. Do you have an estimate for damaging your car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, well, the paint job is $17.92 for the car. She's not giving you a brand new car that's 6 years old. That's the paint job.
The total days for the labor too, and all.
You can get a paint job for $2,000, sir.
He's just
Excuse me?
To pay for something. I said he's trying to get me to pay for something that I did not do, Your Honor.
I'm going to give you a chance now.
Okay.
Now you tell me where you were on September 3rd and 4th.
I was at work.
Okay. And who do you work for?
I was working for a warehouse, White Castle Warehouse in Indianapolis.
And what kind of work were you doing?
I supervised the line.
Okay. And what are your work hours?
Work hours?
Well, on the 3rd and 4th, you said you weren't there, you were working.
Right. We were shorthanded, so I was working I want to say like a 12-hour shift.
Not like you want to say. I don't care what you want to say. I want to know what you're testifying to that I'm going to corroborate when I call your office. What shift were you working between the 3rd and the 4th? If it was a 12-hour shift and you started at 9 o'clock at night and you didn't finish until 9 o'clock the next morning, then you couldn't have been at his house.
Right.
If you were working during that time. So you tell me what your workplace is going to corroborate when I call them.
That I was at work.
Between what hours and what hours? You tell me your shift, and then you're going to give me your supervisor. I will tell them that you gave me their number. Please go back to your work card and tell me what hours you were working on the 3rd and the 4th.
Okay.
Great. Think what hours shift you were working between the 3rd and the 4th.
Okay, I worked from 9 to about 5 that evening. Then I went back to work from like 7 until like the next morning, which was 6 in the morning.
Let's start again. On the 3rd of
I just
September.
told you the hours.
No, let's try
Judge
again.
Judy.
No, let's try again. On September 3rd, you worked from...
It's realistic.
No. On the September 3rd, you worked from what hour to what hour?
I told you.
September 3rd.
9 to 5.
9 to 5 on September 3rd.
Yep.
And on September 4th, you worked from what time to what time?
Well, the same day I worked for...
No.
You're not
September
understanding.
3rd, you worked from 9 a.m.
I'm
to
a
5
supervisor.
p.m.
I have to be at work. If they need people there, I have to come.
9 a.m. Listen, if what you're telling me is that you can't corroborate what time you were working, say you're not going to be able to corroborate what time I was working.
that's not the issue. I'm corroborating, but I'm telling you...
No, you're not corroborating. I'm just asking you what time you were working on the 4th. You said 9 to 5 on the 3rd. What time were you working on the 4th?
About the same hours.
9 a.m.
Since
to
that's
5
what you want to hear.
to 5 p.m. So that you couldn't have been at his house at 9 a.m. What time did she arrive at your house on the 4th?
I wasn't sure, but the voice message was like 2 a.m. early in the morning.
But your roommate was going out
9 a.m.
to get something.
Yes.
And that's when she came in. That's what I want to know.
Correct.
And what time was that?
About 9 a.m.
Well, so if she was working at 9 a.m., she couldn't have been at your house at 9 a.m. Who is your direct supervisor?
Her name is...
Last name?
Henderson.
And what is her title?
She's the operating manager.
Phone number?
I don't know the number by heart.
Look it up in your book, like if you were calling in sick.
My phone is not currently working. I mean, it's dead. I mean...
Just you will charge it. What do you want? Does it
they don't have a charger. I already asked for a charger. They don't have one.
I have a charger. What kind of phone is it? What kind of phone is it?
It's a Samsung.
And nobody has a charger for a Samsung? Anybody have a charger for a Samsung phone? Oh, I have a whole bunch of people who have chargers for Samsung phones.
I don't know.
Great. Is it going to be a waste of my time?
No, it won't be a waste of your time.
Okay, Bird, would you find someone who has a charger for a Samsung phone? We're going to charge up this lady's phone so it's working.
It's so funny.
And then be able to get Henderson's phone number. Great, we'll recall your case. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. This case will be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
You had jobs.
Yes.
And you had jobs.
Yes.
So the dogs were home all day alone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now there's damage to the apartment, so we have Dumb and Dumber. And I'm going to amuse myself for 2 minutes before I throw you all out. Could I see the first video, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. In a case recall from earlier today, Ayarinde Ogunfola Jimmy says former friend Shelaris Mendoza scratched up his car in a fit of rage. Shelaris is countersuing, claiming the plaintiff also scratched up her car.
Judge, this is a recall case 377 in the matter of Ogunfola Jimmy versus Mendoza. I remind parties you're still under oath.
Thank you. Miss Mendoza, I called the number that you provided to the clerk. There was never any Miss Henderson working there. That's the name of the person you said was your supervisor.
Yeah.
They have never had a person by the name of Miss Henderson there. You are no longer working there. Your first day of employment there was June the 11th of 2018. Your last day of employment there was October 8th, 2018. Now, you want to tell me where you made up the word Henderson from?
I thought that was her last name.
Okay, very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,792 to get your car painted. Your counterclaim's dismissed. I don't like fibbers.
Well, 'cause that's
We're
ridiculous.
done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's saying I damaged his car, which it wasn't me who damaged his car.
Everything proved that she did it.
I did not scratch his car. No point in doing that.
She was never part of my life, so...
The name Henderson, maybe the lady got married. Who knows?
Just frustrating.
He fall off a cliff.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Abra Hernandez versus Espinda Herrera step forward.
Danielle Abra and her boyfriend, Jose Hernandez, are suing ex-roommates Joseph Herrera and his fiancée, Kia Espinda, for rent, utilities, property damage, and a false restraining order.
Okay, your roommates, you worked together. The roommates situation didn't work out. Who moved out? You moved out. After you moved in together, everybody had a dog. And you had jobs.
Yes.
And you had jobs.
Yes.
So the dogs were home all day alone. That would be a yes.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
All right. So we have Dumb and Dumber. And you want me to determine whose dog did the damage because there was damage done. Your dog was in a crate. Your dog was a little dog and couldn't have done the damage. Now there's damage to the apartment. Are you still living in the apartment?
Yes.
With a new roommate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. And you're living someplace else?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Now, you have a video that you want me to see?
Yes.
You will have a video you want me to see?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. I'm going to amuse myself for 2 minutes before I throw you all out. Could I see the first video, please?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Is there anything else that I'm going to see?
If the video continues, those blinds there on the floor, and then the hole in the wall where Joe has punched it.
Mr. Herrera, did you punch a hole in the wall when you were angry? And you didn't pee on the carpets, did you?
No.
No. And how did the blinds get broken, Mr. Herrera?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Abra and her boyfriend Jose Hernandez claim ex-roommates Joseph Herrera and fiancée Kia Espinda owe for rent, utilities, property damage, and a false restraining order.
Now, tell me what the video is going to show me.
The video shows a hole in the wall where Joe has punched it. It shows urine damage to the carpet, excessive, and the blinds ripped down and on the floor.
And you say that their dog did that?
Yes, our dog was never allowed in their room.
Shh. What kind of dog do you have?
We have a toy Maltipoo.
How old?
He is 11 months old.
Okay, so I'm waiting to see something.
No, but look at the difference in colors. Pee, no pee. It's ridiculous. It's green compared to blue.
Oh, you mean so that's underneath on the mat?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Is there anything else that I'm going to see?
If the video continues, those blinds there on the floor, and then the hole in the wall where Joe has punched it.
Could you tell me how you're going to try to explain to me how a Maltipoo puppy pulled blinds down?
No, that was Kia. The damage to the floor is from the dog.
And you have the bill for the carpet?
Yes.
Great. Can I see it, please? Mr. Herrera, did you punch a hole in the wall when you were angry?
No, not at all.
Okay. And you didn't pee on the carpets, did you?
No.
No. Okay. And how did the blinds get broken, Mr. Herrera?
I do not know. We
Was the
had
blind
them on
broken?
by the time we left.
Do you have any receipt for blinds?
No, it was paid in cash on our rent.
No, that I don't see. Okay, listen to me. They had to pay for the carpet, and there is a receipt for the carpets, $451. That's your responsibility for your little Maltipoo. $451. Now, they had security deposit?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you kept it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much was their security deposit?
$250, Your Honor.
10. So they owe you $201. That's what they owe you. You have a counterclaim for what?
For property damages.
What property damage?
Her dog had chewed up one of my couches. I have text messages and pictures.
Just a second. You have a text message indicating that she was going to pay for your couch? I'd like to see it.
And I'm sorry if I'm a little shaky, Your Honor. My last two encounters with the plaintiff, she had attacked me. So I'm sorry I'm a little shaky.
May I just see, please, the text message where she says she's going to pay for the damage that her dog did to your couch?
That's the back side of it.
All of these?
Yes, please.
May I see one, please?
We do.
You Miss Abra?
Yes.
Miss Abra, do you remember making an agreement with the defendant to pay for damage that your dog did to her sofa?
We made
that's a no. That's a yes or a no.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Ms. Abra, do you remember making an agreement with the defendant to pay for damage that your dog did to her sofa?
We made
that's a no. That's a yes or a no.
No, Your Honor.
Shoot the chair.
Yes.
Archer is the name of your dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you said that you would pay for the damage to the chair.
I apologize, Your Honor. We came to a different agreement that she did not pay August utility bills for the damage of her chair, and I have that in text message as well.
I'd like to see that. Because that says you did agree to pay for the damage Archer did to the chair. Yeah, you're even on the chair. That's what you said. Okay, the only thing that you owe them is $201 for the carpet that had to be changed. When you keep a puppy in your room for a day, when you're both working, that's what happens. Puppies pee on the carpet, and that's what you did. All right.
Several days.
Are we done?
No, Your Honor. There's a false restraining order that I'm suing against her for. She took wages from me. I lost work because of her because we worked at
$201.
Your Honor, she slandered me through the restraining orders at my work to her old best friend here.
$201. Didn't work out. Goodbye.
Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
I have a counterclaim, Your Honor.
We're done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Vice are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She used to harass me. She followed me down to my work.
I've never touched her in my life. I'm the nicest person in the whole world.
She attacked me at my other job, and I have a voicemail recording of her telling me
If you met anyone that knows me, they could tell you I'm not capable of hurting anyone.
that she was going to forcibly take money from me after my shifts.
Is it
It's time for Judge Joe Brown. He's the real deal.
I'd like you to tell me what happened.
Okay, so we met August 29th.
That I got. Your neighbor asked you to move the camera. Why didn't you?
Case number 551 on the calendar in the matter of Felix versus Abril.
Thank you.
This case number 471 on the calendar in the matter of Masters versus Nolan. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Miss Nolan, the defense. Acrimonious divorce, and you have 3 children. At that time, according to what I've read and what I believe, because both of you seem to confirm that, you had a fear that your former husband was going to make a custody bid for your children, and you approached Miss Masters and told her about your predicament. According to Miss Masters, she and her husband didn't have enough money to give you for a retainer for a lawyer, so they took out a loan in order to give you money so that you could retain an attorney. So far, we all agree on those facts, that they took out a loan in order to pay a retainer for your lawyer.
It was put on a credit card.
That's a loan.
Yes.
Fortunately, you got custody of your 3 children. Mr. and Mrs. Masters would like their money back. And you say they're not entitled to their money back because there was never an agreement for me to pay them back for the lawyer. And aside from the fact I have enough problems taking care of my children. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Who's that?
That's Christopher Clausen.
Who is he?
He's my boyfriend.
What does he do for a living?
He works at Walmart.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a nurse's aide.
So you both work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, what does she do for a living?
She works at a pharmacy.
And what does her husband do for a living?
He's an engineer.
Do they have children?
Yes, they do.
How many?
Joel has a daughter, and then they have a son together.
And does Joel support his daughter?
Yes, he does.
And do they support their child together?
Yes, they do.
When was the last time you took a vacation?
A couple years ago, probably.
Do you remember where you went?
I do.
Where did you go?
We went to Kansas City on a family vacation.
And how did you get there?
We drove.
How long did it take you?
It's about a 3 to 4 hour drive.
How long did you stay?
We stayed 3 days.
3 days?
Mm-hmm.
You want to explain to me in a way that I understand it why you don't owe your former best friend the money that she gave to you for a lawyer so you could keep your children? Tell me so that I understand it.
When I called Wendy, I told her I did not have the money to pay her back. I still do not have the money.
Just a second. So there was a discussion of paying back.
There was absolutely.
Just a second. So there was a discussion, Miss Nolan, about paying back.
Yes, there was.
So, based upon what you tell me, you said to her, I don't have the money for the lawyer now. When I have the money, I'll pay you back.
No, there was
And then, well, so why would it matter if you said to me, and I still don't have the money to pay her?
Because my children's father, he is still not paying his child
Who
support.
cares? She didn't make children with your children's father. You did. She didn't pick them, you did. If you picked a loser, that's not her problem. Why do you visit your bad judgment on your friend?
I didn't put my bad judgment.
You sure did. And if you said to her, what's your first name?
Wendy.
Wendy, I can't give you a lot. I can give you $50 a month.
Because my children's father,
$10 a week.
he is still
That's all
not
I can
paying
give
his
you,
child
but I'm
support.
going to pay you back. How much did she borrow?
$1,500.
I can't give you more than that. What's your name?
Chris Clausen.
Do you smoke?
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while is not an answer. Do you smoke?
No.
When was the last time you bought cigarettes?
Been quite a while.
When was the last time you bought a beer?
I'd say at least a week.
Okay. I can give you $10 a week, $50 a month. I can't give you any more, but we can scrape together that. Right? Right?
Right.
So why didn't you?
Because it was not alone. And I told this to Wendy, we and Wendy had this discussion.
Well, tell me about the discussion so that I believe it, so that people who haven't taken a vacation in 2 years, and the last vacation was 3 days in Kansas City, explain to me why they would give you $1,500, not expect to be repaid at some point, even in small amounts. Explain that to me, because they could take a nice vacation for $1,500. Miss Nolan.
Okay. On May 2nd, the police were called to my son's school.
I don't care. I don't care. If what you're going to tell me is that your husband was a bad person and you had to get a lawyer, I believe you had to get a lawyer.
And
my problem is you had a best friend who extended herself and you stiffed her. And you think that that's okay. And it's not.
I don't think it's okay, but it was never alone.
Go ahead. Now I'll hear you.
Okay.
Now I'll hear you. Look for a new best friend.
Yes. She called me up about a week before her first court appearance, telling me that she was trying to find a lawyer, trying to come up with the money for a retainer. I sympathized with her, didn't say anything at that time. 2 days before the court appearance, she calls me and she says, Wendy, I have no options. My family can't help me. No one can help me. This lawyer that I've been talking to has said, if I go into court without a lawyer, I will lose my kids. What option do I have at that point, you know, as a parent, and I was expecting a child at that time? You can't send someone into that atmosphere with nothing. So I made an agreement with her that I would, you know, help her out with the lawyer's fee. In fact, I had even offered to pay half, but she couldn't come up with the other half. So I ended up paying the full amount, and with her stepmother in the room, on the phone and everything, she made the statement that we will do whatever we do to pay you. I understand it's going to have interest because it's on a credit card. We'll do what we have to do, pay you monthly, whatever. I'll sell my furniture if I have to get you paid back.
Right. Sell furniture. Sell blood. Do something.
And
I don't care what you do.
She made that agreement, everything, and you know, I've called her. I've spoke with her on several occasions. The check's been in the mail.
You have the balance?
I do.
Can I see the balance, please?
Absolutely. Here's the receipt for it as well.
So what's the new balance?
I have it all broken down here for you with interest and whatnot.
What is it? $1,894?
$1,882.40.
Go ahead.
And we'd spoken on several occasions. She said there was a check in the mail at one point. She said she had to be in Omaha for court at one point. She had just dropped a payment at my house through my mailbox. It never happened. I've called her. I've called Chris. I've called her stepmother, trying to get this back. I mean,
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Wendy Master says former friend Shannon Nolan owes for a loan to retain an attorney so she could fight a custody battle.
Miss Masters.
Yes.
I know you're a working gal, so you probably don't get to watch me very often.
No,
If you did, you would know never lend anybody any money. Give them money. Say, listen, you're my best friend. I'm going to give you this money. Never ask me for any money again. Once you lend money, you become the bad guy.
Yeah.
Friendship is over. You're the bad guy because you're asking for it back. Look at the excuses that she's made.
Yeah.
Was never alone. She didn't pay you back because her ex-husband hasn't paid her. That's why she hasn't paid you back. She tells me that how could you as a good friend even ask her for the money back because you know that everything she has goes to support her children. So you have now become the bad guy. Don't lend anybody money. If somebody is in dire need and you feel close enough to them and you can do it, say, I'm giving you this money. I hope you pay me back. I'm not expecting you to pay me back. Never ask me for another penny.
Exactly.
Got it?
Yep.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,882. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was never alone.
That is inaccurate. We had agreed on a payment plan.
I cannot put out any money with her.
She said she would do whatever she could on her end to make it right with me.
All of my money goes to my kids.
And I was okay with that, even small amounts, but we've received nothing.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Squillace versus Hewlett. Step forward, please.
Richard Rick Squillace is suing motorist Matthew Hewlett for loss of business revenue after he crashed into his parked van.
Mr. Squillace, we do not need your charts because the issue of who was at fault in this accident has already been resolved. You are the owner of a karate school.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have a van that transports students to and from classes.
Correct.
How many children does the van hold?
15.
Part of your agreement with the parents provides that you pick up and deliver the children?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hewlett,
Yes, ma'am.
you hit his car,
Yes,
his
I did.
van. You were at fault.
Yes, I was.
And your insurance company paid for your van.
Yes, ma'am.
Paid to have the van. Was it fixed or was it totaled?
It was totaled.
And they paid for it. Your lawsuit seeks loss of income
Yes, ma'am.
while you didn't have the van. And since the van has a commercial sign on it, loss of advertising.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to forget loss of advertising, sir.
Okay.
You know, there's only so much the courts are going to help you.
Okay.
When did the accident occur?
November 27th, 2007.
Were there children in the car?
No, there was not.
Just the driver?
No, it was parked.
Parked. You hit a parked car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you drunk?
No, ma'am.
It just came at you.
I came around the van.
Okay. When did you get the van back?
The end of February 2008.
So you were out the van December, January, and February.
Yes, ma'am.
3 months. What did you, yes, sir. Yes,
Your Honor, I had the copy of the canceled check. He was paid long before that. He was paid to replace his van as of 12/21. And he waited another 2.5 months to get a van when this is his sole source of advertising. It's on the second page there, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Along with that, they paid him an extra
Just a second.
$3,000, the insurance company did, on top of the worth of the van, cost of the van.
They paid you total $6,781.04, and that includes a rental van. That's the check that you signed for.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you rent a van?
Yes,
And that the date of that check, date of loss, is December 21st.
Yes, ma'am. It was $1,300 to rewrap the vehicle as well as purchase the new vehicle.
I don't know what you mean. Just a second. I don't know what you mean rewrap.
Put the advertising on the new van. That's why there was additional money added to the price of the van.
It may have been, sir. That's not what you're suing for. How did you transport the kids? You transported them in a van that you rented
Yes, ma'am.
so that you weren't out any money based upon the fact that the same 15 children were transported in a rental van to and from school.
We couldn't put the kids in the rental van because of the insurance. We basically got the van. We didn't use it to transport any of the kids.
Well, did the children stop coming to school?
Some of them did.
You have a witness
Yes, I do.
indicating how many children stopped coming to school?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I have to call my brother. He does all our bookkeeping for the...
No. I don't take your brother as the bookkeeper. You bring me a parent who stopped sending their child to school because she didn't pick them up.
I don't have that here, Your Honor.
Listen,
Sorry.
you got paid for the van.
I paid for the van.
You got paid for renting a van.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got paid for the van and renting a van on December 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't see what your lawsuit is, sir.
It was really loss of students, ma'am, that would sign up for the class.
Is that what you're suing for? The loss of students that would sign up for the class because they saw the advertising on the van?
Mainly, yes.
Is that what your lawsuit is? I
Yes.
just want to be
Yes, ma'am.
clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Your lawsuit is because you drive around in a van that has your name on it. Kids see it.
Yes.
And they see it and they sign up for school.
Correct.
And because if you didn't have your van with your signature on it, that's the nature of your lawsuit.
Yes, and I can clearly show that.
That's the
Yes.
nature of
Yes,
your
ma'am.
lawsuit.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
dismissed. Thank you. That's all. It's ridiculous.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nice.
My witness, Nikki, called me and said that your van was hit. It was thrown across 4 lanes of traffic.
I just worked an 18-hour shift. I was on the way home. It was after 2 a.m.
And it was up in the embankment, and I came down to assess the damage, and
The van was parked in the street. There's no parking lane where it was.
there it was. His vehicle was smashed, and it was
parked in traffic, where traffic normally flows.
quite an impact.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lee versus Goldie. Step forward.
Teresa Lee and her 16-year-old son, Trevor, are suing 18-year-old Roy Goldie and his mom, Kathy, for the value of a Ford Mustang.
Miss Lee, this is your teenage son, and Miss Goldie, this is your teenage son. And what happened was you bought your teenage son a car, a used car, a Mustang. Is that right?
Actually, he had a Mustang, and he had bought another Mustang himself.
Okay. Well, since he's a minor, it has to be in your name. Is that right?
No.
It could be in his name?
He registered it himself.
Did you?
Yes.
What state do you live in?
California.
And you can do that as a minor?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Did you know that?
No, but I do now.
And you also have to have proof of insurance?
Yes.
Did you have proof of insurance?
Yes.
Okay. Who got you the insurance?
My mother.
So the car was insured under your policy?
Yes, his original Mustang that he had was insured, and he was insured on my policy.
I'm talking about the Mustang that he traded with this
Oh,
young man.
I never took it down and got it registered.
You
I
never registered
drove.
that car?
I never did.
Where did you get that car from?
My buddy Matt, he had it for a while. It was sitting because it was broke down.
How much did you pay for that car?
I paid $700 and then invested.
Shh. And that was the car that you traded with this young man. Is that right?
Yes.
And when did you purchase the car?
April 29th,
And you traded your $700 Mustang for his what?
a Beamer,
A BMW.
BMW.
And when did you trade it with Mr. Goldie here? On what
On
date?
June 5th.
So you had the car for about a month before you traded it. Is that right?
Yes.
And you're 17?
16.
16. And how old are you, Mr. Goldie?
18. I was 17 at the time when I traded.
Where did you get the BMW from?
From Shane and Diana McLaughlin, our witnesses here.
That would be from you.
Yes.
And when did you get it?
September of '07.
And how much did you pay for it?
It was a trade for a Blade Z, a 33 Blade Z GoPed.
So it was a trade.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. You got the Mustang, right?
Yeah.
And you got the BMW.
Right.
What did you do with the Mustang?
I traded the Mustang for another Bronco. It's an '84 Bronco.
So you traded it. Somebody else has it.
Somebody else has it.
But when you went to register the BMW, they took the car away because they said it was stolen.
Right. Well, I showed up at the DMV, and when I was getting the paperwork done, they were looking at it, and to view the history, they told me...
Don't tell me what they told you. They took away the car.
Yeah, they had me wait, and then the police arrived, and they told me to drive home because it's out of the jurisdiction, to drive home and call the police to have them come out and impound the car as a stolen car.
And did they do that?
Yes, they did.
So you lost the car.
Right.
So that's the lawsuit. The lawsuit is you want the money that you paid for the car in these ridiculous trades that these kids do. It's part of the problem. It's part of the reason that the state of California should modify their existing law, because young people who are 16 and 17 years old shouldn't be in a position of being able to register and trade these cars, because you never know the background of a car. It's ridiculous. 18 is young enough. You agree with me?
I absolutely agree with you.
Love
That's why
to
they got
rule
Carfax.
the world. Now, you got something of value for the Mustang that you traded the BMW for. Is that correct?
I got...
You got a new car.
Yeah, I got a new car, a Mustang.
So you got something of value
Yeah.
in this trade.
Yes.
What did he get?
The BMW.
He got nothing. Goose egg. The police took his car, right?
Yes.
That's not fair. Let's just talk about fair. I mean, because neither one of you did the right thing. I mean, you had a car that you hadn't registered.
Yes.
That you traded, so you traded a car that wasn't registered. He had a car that wasn't registered, and he traded it to you. You were able to trade the car without registering it, I assume.
Yes.
To some other idiot, right?
No, I registered the Mustang.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I registered, and I had the pink slip and
Oh,
everything.
so you were able to do that?
Yes.
Great, he wasn't.
Yes.
So what do you think should happen?
I don't know.
He's got to get his money back, or the car. And since you don't have the car, he's got to get his money back.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Anybody arguing with that?
Nope.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $700. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I believe Judge Judy did the right thing and made the right decision in this case.
Check on the car before I take it.
I think it turned out how it should have been.
Make sure it's all legit.
I've learned to think before.
One on the calendar in the matter of Rana versus K-Day.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Chairman, have a seat.
Ms. Rana, your complaint alleges that the defendant, who was your boyfriend at the time that this incident occurred, assaulted you and caused damage to your teeth, causing you to have some extensive dental work done with some more work to come. He says that he didn't injure you and that the only reason that you're suing him now is because he won't come back to live with you. Is that your defense, sir?
Kind of, but not exactly.
Well, then explain it to me. Explain to me what your defense is.
I'm not sure why she's suing me, but I just think she wants to get some money. But she said I knocked her teeth out, but I didn't.
Didn't knock him out.
No.
When did this incident occur, sir?
It was either the 24th or the 25th. It was around midnight, so.
of what month and year?
'08, September.
Now, after this incident, the police were called and you were taken away to jail for parole violation, is that right?
Yes.
What were you on parole for?
Simple assault, terroristic threats, and resisting arrest.
Involving one incident or more than one incident?
One incident.
Involving who?
My brother and the police.
And how long did you spend in jail?
2 years.
And how long was your parole?
2 years.
And then you went back and served 9 more months.
Yes.
Is that right? What was the violation of your parole?
Curfew violation, and I moved in with her, and I wasn't allowed to. So I moved without getting the notification, and the other one was absconding.
Tell me what happened in September of '08.
I was at home with her, and she was sleeping, and I went out and I got a 6-pack of beer, and I had a few beers outside, and then when I came in, she was up cleaning the house, and she told me to vacuum or something, and I told her no, and then she told me to get out, and I was like, nah, and then she said she's going to call my parole officer on me, so she grabbed the phone, and I grabbed the phone off of her, and she started to scream really loud, so I put my hand over her mouth, the muffler, because we had neighbors, and then I took her in the bedroom, I put her on the bed, and I kept...
How'd you do that?
Like this. I had my hand over her mouth.
And then what happened?
And then she said she had to go to the bathroom, so I said, all right, and I let her up, and she ran outside and ran to the neighbors and called the police.
That pretty much happened? What happened?
Your Honor, that is a lie. He is lying through his teeth. I'm sorry.
Hey, listen to me. How old are you?
I'm 39, Your Honor.
And when you met Mr. Cadet, you knew he was on parole?
Yes, he was on parole.
You knew he was on parole. And you knew he had served 2 years, not a small amount of time, which would suggest to me it was not the first time you had been in trouble with the law. Would that be a fair statement, sir?
Yes.
So you knew that he had an extensive criminal history.
No, Your Honor, I didn't know
Then you
all
didn't,
of that at the time.
Well, you didn't know all of it, but you knew some of it. So, you know genius. You have children?
Yes, I do.
How old are the children?
A 22-year-old daughter, a 20-year-old son, and a 17-year-old son.
Which of those children lived at home when you invited the defendant
None
to
of
live?
my children lived at home.
Who do they live with?
My son, I was very sick at the time, Your Honor. My son was staying at his grandmother's. My daughter lives on her own. She's in law school, and my other son is in college.
What was wrong with you?
I've had multiple hip surgeries from an accident.
How long have your children lived with you?
My son had moved out 2 days before that.
Which son is that?
17-year-old.
This incident happened on what date in September?
September 25th, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the report from your dentist.
From a dentist?
That's what we're here for.
I also have record of past history, the whole record of my dental.
All I want to see is the information when you went to the dentist after September 25th. You have a police report with regard to September 25th?
No, I have the hospital records from that
What
night.
date?
I have the hospital records from September 25th.
I want to see them. What about the police report?
I have that.
I don't
have
want
the
to see it.
PFA.
I want to see it.
I have the deposition right here.
You have what deposition?
From the hearing that he pled guilty to for doing this to me.
Oh, I'd like to see that. Well, while you didn't go to see the dentist for some 3 weeks after the incident, you did go to the emergency room, who recommended follow-up with family dentist. The dentist indicates that because of some trauma to one of your teeth, which was broken, she intended to use to buttress some partial something that he was going to put in. He had to extract both teeth, which will require additional work. And this is also a physical evaluation from Mill Creek Community Hospital on the 25th of September 2008.
Your Honor, can I tell you exactly what happened that night, please?
When I'm ready. This doesn't say anything about you.
Your Honor, that was the hearing.
Doesn't say anything about you.
He
doesn't even have your name on it.
That's the
All
hearing.
the paperwork you have with regard to that evening from the police.
Yes, that was from the hearing. We had went.
I asked you.
Yes, that is all the paperwork I have.
Is the only paperwork that you have with regard to this incident from the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now you can tell me your version of the events of the 25th of September.
The night of September 25th, I had decided that I didn't want to be with Roger anymore. I was tired of the mental abuse, and I had been hearing stories of what he did to his wife beforehand, and I couldn't deal with that in my life. I had told him that we needed time to separate. He needed to go to his mom's house, you know. He went outside and he started drinking. He was with his friend Stosh over there, and they were drinking outside on the property. Probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, he come inside my house. I told him not to come in my house. He did. He had a beer in his hand. I took his beer from him and set it outside of my house. I reminded him that he's not allowed to drink in my house. He then got very upset with me. He slammed me on the couch, the hard part of the divider of the couch, and grabbed me by the throat, dragged me into my bedroom, put one hand, I was screaming at the time, he put one hand on my face like this, the other hand here on my throat. He had busted my tooth, I swallowed it. I have dentures on the top, they were in my throat. And the only thing I could think of is I watch Lifetime movies all the time. And all I could think of is what to say.
Listen to me, I have other things.
All I could think of was what to say to him, for him to stop. So I hit him as hard as I could in his head. And
probably didn't hurt him at all.
No, but it moved his hands off a little bit. And I said, baby, I love you, I love you. He did stop. I then crawled to my neighbor's house, and the police were called.
You want to say anything?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Notice how fast you don't even have to say anything to them.
I'm Stanislav Davidian, Roger's friend. That night, pretty much, we had been drinking, and I went inside my house for 5 minutes to grab another beer, and I came out, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, she called the cops, and I'm like, why? He's like, you know, she's claiming that I attacked her or whatnot, and pretty much...
So you really don't know anything?
No, I mean...
Except that you two idiots were outside drinking.
No.
Right?
Paula Rana claims ex-boyfriend Roger K-Day knocked out her teeth during an assault in her home.
What I said to you is you don't know anything except that the two of you were outside drinking. You went inside. When you came outside, whatever incident happened already had taken place, and he said the cops were on their way.
Exactly. And then when the cops took him away, I went back inside. Then the cops took him away. I came back outside, and I was talking to Paula. She told me that he had been taken by the cops and didn't seem that traumatized to me, saying that she got assaulted like that. From what I seen, I mean, she was just like, he went to jail, you know?
Your Honor, he's lying too.
Paula,
I'm sorry.
I was talking to Paula. She was talking to me face to face. We were standing up, and she was just like, he went to jail. She did mention something about a tooth being knocked out, but I didn't see, you know, I mean...
You've been very helpful. Why don't you have a seat?
Thank you.
Do you have anything to contribute to this, sir?
Her friend, the night when she went to the hospital, she was in a lot of pain.
Listen to me. You don't tell me about somebody else's pain. Did you take her to the hospital?
He went into the ambulance with me,
Yes.
Your Honor.
You went into the ambulance with her, so
Yes.
an ambulance was called.
By
Is
the
that right?
police.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now you can have a seat.
Can I say something? On this ticket I got for harassment, it doesn't say anything about her tooth being knocked out. It just says I threw her on the bed, grabbed her and threw her on the bed. So, I mean, if I knocked her tooth out, wouldn't it say something in here?
I don't know. They didn't
I mean, I'm
teach
sure
me
she
that.
would...
They didn't teach me that, sir,
Yeah,
in school.
they didn't.
No. They didn't teach me mind reading in school. All I know is she was taken by ambulance to the emergency room. The emergency room noted that her mouth was swollen. She had clear problems with her mouth. She was referred to a family dentist because they don't do that kind of work in the emergency room. She went to the dentist. I have a letter from the dentist dated November 14th, 2008. The dentist indicates that because of the trauma to her teeth, he had to extract 2 teeth that were going to be used as anchors for something else, you know, that she needed in her mouth. So what you did, even by your own admission, by putting your hand over her mouth and dragging her into the bedroom, is a no-no.
That's a no-no.
You do understand a no-no, don't you?
Yes.
Right. And you may think that because she called the police and you got to serve 9 months, you've done your penance, you know, and it was punishment enough. Because but for the fact that she called the police, they wouldn't have known that you had violated parole, right?
Exactly.
Right? So you feel as if you've paid enough.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, there should be some documentation from the police saying that one of her tooth was knocked out, and there ain't no documentation. She has a PFA order on me, and that's the first time I heard about it, just through that PFA order. But I mean,
So this will be the second time.
no, it's like the 50th time.
Okay, good. You have a proposed bill from the dentist for work that you need?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it, please. Sorry. By the way, he was real helpful.
Thanks.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Stay here.
I meant there ain't no documentation from the police, so
He's mad at me because I won't get back with him.
I got a charge for harassment. Why I wanted to say one of her teeth was knocked out.
It actually said harassment and compliance to physical contact.
I would have got an assault charge. I didn't get no assault charge. I just got harassment.
And I would tell anybody to stay away from him
Keep away from ex-strippers.
because of what he did. He's crazy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Zacchio versus Steinbach. Step forward, please.
Julie Zacchio is suing Skyla Steinbach for the cost to fix her car. Julie's son, Brendan, was driving the vehicle when he collided with Skyla's son, Rain, who was riding his bike.
You weren't there. You weren't there. But I'm going to let you stay where you are. Stand up. Stand up next to your mom. Okay? If I want to talk to you later, I will, all right? Are you frightened of me? Oh, perfect. This is what the case is about. You were driving your car. You're 16.
I was.
And you would be the orange, right?
Yes.
What's your first name?
Brendan.
You were going home?
Yes.
And tell me your first name.
Rain.
Rain? Your mom let you go out and you were going to the store, right?
Yes.
What store were you going to? You remember?
No.
Was it a toy store, a grocery store? What were you going to buy? Do you remember?
I wasn't buying anything.
Who was going to buy something?
My friend.
And what was your friend going to buy?
Candy.
Was he going to give you some?
Yes.
How far away from your house is this store?
About 2 blocks.
Has he ever been to the store before?
Yes.
Without you?
Yes.
Now, your son was going home, and you were driving with your friends, and you were in front, right? You were driving fast, and you're driving in the street, you know, on the sidewalk, right? But your bicycle hit a hole and you sort of lost control of it? Is that what happened?
Yes.
And you and this young man's car collided, right? Were you wearing a helmet?
No.
And you got hurt?
Yes.
And your car got hurt?
Yes.
And you want her to pay for the damage to your car? That's what the case is about. And you want them to pay your son's medical bills?
Yes.
That's not going to happen. I'm not dealing with them yet. 2 things I have to tell you. He's A, too young to drive 2 blocks to a store alone on a bicycle. B, children who ride bicycles should wear helmets all the time.
Yes.
And a 7-year-old child should be supervised by an adult playing outside at all times. Now, it's clear from what he says that he lost control of the bicycle, which is something that a 7-year-old can do, and put himself in harm's way. Not every accident requires compensation. Taking care of your child is your responsibility. It's not somebody else's responsibility, Ms. Steinbach. You didn't take care of your child that day in an appropriate fashion. And unless you're able to establish that he was speeding by some expert testimony, police testimony, reports from the police, it's not his fault that your son's bicycle collided with his car. It's your fault. And he could have been killed. 7-year-olds don't belong riding unaccompanied blocks away from their home because aside from being hurt, there are lots of bad people out there. You don't let a child that age out by themselves. Period. Unaccompanied, unless you live in a little private cul-de-sac and they're out playing in front of the house so you can look outside, peek outside every once in a while and say, there they are. You get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's talk about you. You saw these children riding on their bikes?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children were there?
If I remember right, there was 3.
And you saw them before this incident happened?
I saw them out of the corner of my eye.
You saw that they were little?
Yes.
Did you slow down?
No.
That's what you should have done. I'm not suggesting you were speeding. I'm just suggesting when you see a lot of little children riding on their bikes, an adult, fully cooked mind would say, till I pass them, I'm going to go about 4 miles an hour, just in case something happens. One of them darts out.
They were on the sidewalk.
I know, but he didn't stay on the sidewalk. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. When I see unaccompanied children and I'm driving and I see them out of the side of my eye, I assume the worst. That's what adults would do. I do it when I see bicyclists. You know, bicyclists ride their bicycles and they're supposed to drive in the street with cars. So if the speed limit is 35 miles an hour, and I've got 12 bicyclists that I see in front of me, I slow down, and it sometimes takes me an extra 3-4 minutes to get past them, but I slow down because one of them may fall over. They may hit a rock in the road. Something may happen, and I don't want my car going 35 miles an hour, passing somebody, even though I'm going within the speed limit. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
What you should be saying to yourself is, thank God he didn't kill him, because that would have stayed with your very lovely son his whole life, not sued her for the damage. And what you should be saying is, next time I'm going to be more vigilant as a parent, not sue them for medical bills. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. I had not intended to sue in the beginning. In the beginning, I was going to leave it at accidents happen. My son was not supposed to be riding his bike. I had allowed him to walk. He had walked. We live in an area where the children frequent that store, and because it's a very nice neighborhood where generally things like this don't happen. They had walked before. We'd also walked as a family.
So you thought he was walking?
Yes, ma'am. And so this, originally we had not planned to sue. We had planned to say, you know, accidents happen.
That's it.
He should not have been on his bike. He should have been paying better attention.
That's what it is.
And
you're absolutely right. He should not have been on his bike, and you should have been paying better attention. Right?
Yes.
Goodbye. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Last thing I recall is he went off the curb and I hit him and he was on my windshield.
When I arrived on it, my son was laying on his back.
I slammed on the brakes.
All I could see was his feet.
He rolled off the front of my car.
And his arm was badly misshapen.
Just the fact that I hurt somebody, and especially a younger kid, it made me feel bad.
Fear. Absolute gripping fear.
My son has been traumatized, and he will be for the rest of his life.
Most as is my son, but accidents have that effect on people.
Atención!
So, Mr. Zapp, let me explain something to you.
Sure.
You don't want to appear any more foolish than I might make you here. I want what she's saying. She's saying that you stole money from her bank account. She's saying that when you were together, you had a joint bank account. Then you split up in what year?
We split up June 26, 2008.
Subsequent to June 26, 2008, you didn't put any more money into this bank account, or because you each had your own bank accounts and you had a joint bank account. She did put money into this bank account. She believed you were off it, and she says that you, over a period of time, withdrew while she was on board the cruise line thousands of dollars from that checking account. After you were no longer a couple on June 26, 2008, did you do that?
Absolutely not.
You didn't take out any money that you had not put in to the account.
That's correct. We actually had this account.
That's all I want to know.
Okay.
You did not take any money out of the account after June of 2008.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Were you, in fact, no longer a couple after June of 2008? Is that correct?
That is correct.
And did you, from your money, deposit any money into the joint account after June of 2008? After. That would be July forward, 2000. Did you deposit any money into that account?
Yes, I did.
How much did you? I assume you're going to be able to show that to me, even though you have no papers in front of you.
Absolutely not. I can't show you that.
Just a second. How much do you allege that you put into that joint account?
I don't know, $4,500.
And can you explain to me why, Mr. Zapp, you don't have proof of that?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I went to the bank. Actually, I was...
Don't look down. Look here. We know we're coming to court.
In March.
We know we're coming to court.
Okay, in March.
March of what year?
March of 2010. She called me and said that she was missing money. I was like, okay, I mean, did you ask your mother, if she took it, but she said no. She accused me, and I said, I'm not sure what's going on, but I just got my income tax check, and I will put in $1,100. And she said, okay, so I put this in.
That was in March of 2010. You put in $1,100.
That's just the most recent. That was the last, okay.
And you would have proof of that, sir.
I would.
Well, my question to you is, why don't you?
Because when I went to the bank 2 days later, she had taken my name off the account and closed the account down. I actually went to get records, and the bank told me that I was not allowed to.
Just a second.
Okay.
Very easy. All you have to do is call your local IRS and say, I'm missing my check, I need a copy of that, and where it went. I'm going to look at what she has, and then I'm going to, if I find that you did, in fact, that I believe you did, in fact, take this money, I will enter a judgment on her behalf after she files a police report and prosecutes you for check fraud. Do you understand?
I don't agree, but yes,
do you
I
understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because so far you don't have a police report.
No,
right?
I do not, because I could not press a police report because he was a joint tenant.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
You want your money?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't believe you put any money into her account.
Alexandra Brower claims ex-boyfriend Brent Zeff stole money from her bank account. Brent is insisting he's innocent.
Now, we can, however, which would probably not be a good thing for you, Mr. Zaff.
I think would be
because
okay.
this lady wants her money, and she's not going to get it, because if you are a thief, we have to prosecute thieves. We have to make sure that they are prosecuted. Other people know about them.
It's a good thing I'm not a thief.
Police know about them. So it's totally up to you. Now, you have to think about it. You have to think about what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
If what you're saying is you did not take this money out because the bank is going to be able to figure that out, which means the police are going to be able to figure that out, which means one way or another you're going to have to hire a lawyer. It's going to cost you probably much more money than this, unless you hire a lawyer and you say, I'm prepared to take a plea, get me probation. If, in fact, you didn't take any money, then we have nothing to fear. On the flip side of that, if, in fact, you did help yourself to any of her money, it might be a good idea for you today to say to me, well, you know, I may have written checks out thinking that I was writing them out on my account, but I wrote them out on her account, and I didn't mean to do that. It was a mistake, but I might have taken money that didn't belong to me, and then I will enter a judgment on her behalf, and she can go home, and you don't have to get involved with the police. Now we're understanding each other, Mr. Zaff?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So I'm going to go back to you one more time before I let her show me her proof.
Okay.
Good? You put in $1,100. If there was more taken out of the account, and according to her, there were many thousands of dollars more taken out of the account, is it possible, sir, that you wrote checks on an account that you thought was yours, but happened to be the joint account that you once shared with the plaintiff?
Absolutely not.
Great. Now you can show me. Perfect.
Okay, here, Your Honor, this goes back from July 2009 all the way up until February, or, yeah, March 2010. You have the copy of the counter checks, which are the deposit slips at the bank. You have his signature, all the money from my payroll, saying it was from Carnival Cruise Lines, not from Brent Zaff. And because we were still speaking at this time, we were still friends, and he knew I was about to get off the ship. And I'm pretty sure that's why he started taking out more and more money out of my account while I was at.
Let's start with that one. Bert, why don't you wait here and I'll give them all to you. We're all pretty much the same. Why don't you show these to Mr. Zaff, please? Thank you. Mr. Zaff, I have compared the signature to the signature on your answer to Miss Bauer's complaint.
These are my signatures. But, I mean, but there's also some signatures with some deposits in there as well that are not shown here. So, I mean...
I don't believe you put any money into her account. Perhaps, sir, other than the $1,100, maybe $1,100 that you got back when she called you and said, you stole money out of my account.
So you think I'm just taking just random money that's not mine? That's not even possible.
Exactly. It's exactly what I think.
Wow.
Miss Bauer is going to get her judgment for $5,000, but her check is going to be held until she files a formal complaint with both the federal authorities, because it's a banking infraction, and her local police department.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Got it?
Whatever. All right.
Good. Thank you very much. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Absolutely not true that I've put money in the account as well.
I agree with her, and I cannot wait to press criminal charges against him.
She said, I'm missing $6,000. I'm like, what? Well, that's bananas, girl. And she's like, no, it's not.
I thought he was a good person.
And I was like, okay, well, maybe your mother took it. I don't know. Have you asked her? I mean, I was just joking, but no, she probably would take some money, though.
I should have listened to my mother. She said he was bad news from the beginning, so next time I'll take her advice.
Well, I won't get into that. That's a different show.
He doesn't like my mother, and she didn't like him.
We both deposited money. We both withdrew money. I mean, it's just bad money management.
It was just baffling how much you didn't really know this person. We'd known each other for 8 years, and I didn't know he was a bad human being until then.
And if they actually allow me to have the records, then it'll show that there was nothing was illegal anyway.
I'm going to go to my local police department and whoever else I have to contact to prosecute him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Schwartz versus Schwartz, step forward, please.
Jack Schwartz says ex-wife Lisa Schwartz owes for a loan to pay speeding tickets. Lisa claims Jack made her an indecent proposal, so she's not paying.
Mr. Schwartz, how long were you married to the plaintiff?
A year and a half.
Okay. How long did you live together during that year and a half?
A year and a half.
How many times have you been married?
3.
How many times have you been married, Mr. Schwartz?
2.
All right, this is the case. It's relatively simple. You were divorced after a year and a half of marriage. You got into some trouble with some tickets that you had, and you had no money. So you called your former husband, according to his complaint, and asked him for a loan. So far, correct?
Yes.
Now, you agreed to give her the money, and she gave you a series of post-dated checks.
Correct.
And you were supposed to start to cash those checks in November of 2009.
Correct.
Subsequent to getting the money, Mr. Schwartz called you and said, don't cash the checks, I lost my job. I'll let you know when to cash the checks. And you didn't go to cash the checks. Until what date?
Well, every month she would call me up telling me not to cash the check.
Because there was no money in the account.
No money in the account. And she's still looking for a job.
How were you supporting yourself?
My father.
Your father was supporting you?
Yes.
Well, there came a time that Mrs. Schwartz, according to her, was in a new relationship. She seems to intimate in her answer that you were still friends and didn't know what was sort of going on. Otherwise, you wouldn't have given her a penny. And you came to her house and did something to her car.
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
And she agreed not to call the police if you forgave the loan that she had taken from you. That's her defense.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'd like to see the bill for fixing your car and the police report.
There is no police report because what happened was when the plaintiff came to my house, he was banging on my car and he had a key.
What brought him to your house, do you think?
Because he found out that I was in a relationship.
When he found out you were in a relationship, did that mean you were living with somebody?
Yes.
So you were living with somebody in your apartment or in theirs?
In my house.
Go ahead.
But the plaintiff found out, and so he came to my house in early November. And
November of 2010?
Yes. And
now, by that time, Mrs. Schwartz, your debt to the plaintiff would have been paid off if he had cashed the post-dated checks that you gave him. Pay attention. I'm going to try to repeat it. There are 2 parts to the sentence that may be complicated. If he had cashed the checks between November of 2009 and November of 2010, your debt to the plaintiff in November of 2010 would have been paid off.
Yes, but he didn't.
But he wasn't paid off because you played him around for a year and told him not to cash the checks that you had given him.
No, the reason was because he said, well, he made indecent proposals. He wanted to get back together, and he made indecent proposals to me, and he said...
Just a second. Mr. Schwartz, what's an indecent proposal?
Well, he said if I would sleep with him, he would forgive the loans. So...
And you said?
Well, obviously, I refused. I mean, obviously.
Actually, you didn't indicate that at all in your answer. Do you want me to show you your answer? Would you give this to her so she can refresh her mind? Go.
Okay.
Show me where it says that he agreed to forgive the loans if you slept with him. That's your answer. You signed it.
No, it doesn't say that here.
Right, that doesn't say that at all.
I was,
You were rushed. How much did you give her?
$1,950.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all. Thank you.
Why is that excused? You may step out.
plaintiff keyed my car.
I would not have done that.
He said he would forgive the loan if I didn't call 911.
It was just a case that she just didn't want to pay me back.
He made the indecent proposal, and then when he keyed the car, he again said if I wouldn't call 911, he would forgive the loan.
I lent her money as a friend.
That he will stop stalking me and stay out of my life.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Atención! What you loaned to this lady before you got married, and then why you chose to put a lien on a car that had nothing to do with that loan. Go!
Okay. Your Honor, my wife has been badgered with loans and payments of loans and insurance because she put not only her car, but the other daughter's car, both of them cars were in her name alone. The children were supposed to pay them off. But she got deluged with credit calls because they weren't being paid, the insurance wasn't paid.
No, listen to me. We're only talking about her. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about her.
All right. Well, she had the car. She also had to pay off a credit card. At the time of Naomi's divorce, the father had to have his credit card taken out of her name, put it in his name and the daughter's name. They did not do that. They ran that credit card up to $28,000.
Who's they?
She.
Well, you said they.
I mean, she.
Go ahead.
And at the time of the divorce, that credit card was to be put in his name and her name, which never got done.
She was not a party to the divorce. No. He was a party to the divorce. So he was supposed to put the credit card in his name.
And her name.
He can't do that.
Well, they were
Show me the divorce decree that...
You have it, and it says right there.
No, that's not what it says at all. Not what it says at all. You mean this green thing that you've underlined here?
Yes, ma'am.
No, that doesn't say that they agree to put it in his name and her name. It says marital debt. It is the agreement between the parties that the husband will assume and hold harmless for the Chase credit cards in the husband and his daughter's name. The court has no jurisdiction over her. He agreed to hold her harmless for this credit card. She was not subject to these divorce proceedings. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Now that you understand the difference, there's a difference between the two of them agreeing or a court ordering both of them. In a judgment of divorce, the court can't order a third party to do something. He agreed to assume that credit card. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir, ma'am.
Did you do it?
No.
Why not?
I don't have the money to do it.
He does assume responsibility.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
He didn't assume responsibility if you didn't pay it. Did he pay it?
No, I was paying it on his behalf.
That's great, but it's his responsibility. Legally, it's his responsibility. It may be her moral debt. He's legally responsible for it. Okay. So she was badgered and...
So in order for her not to file bankruptcy, which I don't want her to do, we decided to pay all the debts off.
On what date did you decide to do that? And you, I assume, have proof that you paid off all the debt on a particular date.
Yes, ma'am. You have to cancel checks and the money I gave her to pay her debts.
On what date?
On 1/6 of 2009, 7/6 of 2009, and 2/4 of 2010.
And in what year were you married?
Last year.
Date?
August 14th.
And is what you're telling me, Mr. Murillo, that you gave her this money because...
To pay off them debts so she didn't have to go bankrupt.
But you weren't married yet.
That's right. I wasn't married at the time.
So, sir, we have to keep this nice and neat. Do you have the title to the car?
I don't.
Who has the title to the car?
We have.
Sign it over to her.
Excuse me, ma'am. That car was given to me by her father in those divorce papers.
Listen to me carefully.
So I believe she's suing the wrong person.
Listen to me carefully, madam. Do you owe her $5,000 for your credit cards?
No, I don't.
How much do you owe her?
I don't believe I owe her anything.
Did you charge on...
Sign the car over to her.
You're not
because that was your contract.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I know what you're doing. You're trying to vitiate an agreement that you made with her. Pay attention.
You have it. I am paying attention.
Allison Nader says ex-stepmother Naomi Simpson owes for the return of a title to a PT Cruiser. Naomi is countersuing for unpaid credit card debt.
Now, your contract was once she paid off the car
That
car
was
hers.
my
That was the
contract.
initial. That was your initial contract. Listen to me, cutie pie. That was your initial contract.
Correct.
That is the contract.
I can't sign the car over. It does not belong to me any longer.
Who does it belong to?
It belongs to him. He has the lien on it.
He's going to sign it.
He's not being sued here.
Listen, let me explain something to you. She has the car. I'm not turning the car over to you. I'm going to notify motor vehicles because I know what you're doing. You see, what you're doing is you're trying to vitiate an agreement that you made with her because, hey, pay attention.
You have it. I am paying attention.
No, you have to pay attention. I understand what happened. I understand that the two of you divorced, that at the time prior to your divorce, he had a credit card that was also in her name. She racked up bills on the credit card. I assume he has no money. I don't know. And quite frankly, as far as this case is concerned, I don't care. What you did with your present husband was try to vitiate, do away with the contract that you originally signed with her because she spent money that you ultimately had to pay for because your name was on the credit card. But what you have to do is you have to sue him because that's what this says. This says
she is the one that agreed to pay the credit card.
Listen to me.
She agreed to pay the credit card and the car in order to get the title to the car. Because she was the only one that ever put anything on the credit card.
Listen to me.
And I have proof where she was paying the credit card.
She is paying. Listen to me. She should pay the credit card if you have a written agreement with her, but you don't have. You have a contract.
We don't have
with
a
him.
written agreement for the title to the car
Listen
either.
to me. I am notifying the Department of Motor Vehicles that I am vitiating the lien on the car, that it was fraudulent. He doesn't want to sign it. That's fine. So I'm going to notify them that she is to be given clean title to the car. You can sue him on this contract, on this judicial order that says he assumes the responsibility for that credit card. Now, if he wants to sue his daughter, he can. But you have a binding order from 2007 that says he is assuming responsibility for that credit card. That's what it says.
I also have a binding order that says he gives me the 2004 Chrysler.
Judge Judy, that 2004 Chrysler that she mentioned in the divorce agreement was for a Chrysler Crossfire.
No, it was not. The Chrysler Crossfire was in my name alone, as well as the motorcycle that he has now placed in your name alone.
Listen to me. Don't get them involved. I don't believe you. I believe that you had an agreement that if she paid off the car, which you agreed to, initially when we started these proceedings, Ms. Simpson, you said she did in fact pay off the car, but she didn't pay off the credit card. And therefore, what you did was,
You haven't even let me present my...
I know exactly what happened. And I'm not saying you didn't get stuck with bills. But what you did with your husband by having him file a lien against this car was fraudulent because your contract, the binding order, was against him. What do you do for a living?
Me?
Yeah. You!
I'm retired.
Well, how do you support yourself?
I'm disabled on Social Security.
How much do you get?
$915 a month.
And who do you live with?
Me.
Well, you're going to have to start paying off this credit card if she sues you. Otherwise, then your daughter will. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because that's what your agreement was.
Yes.
That's what your contract was.
You're right.
Now, my question is, did you rack up credit card debt to the defendant?
Yes, I was.
And how much did you rack up to the defendant?
All in all, over the whole entire time, probably $20,000.
Fine. And how much did you pay?
I've paid like...
No, don't look over there. And don't look over there because your father may be disabled, but she can make his life miserable.
I know.
Do you understand?
I know.
So let's proceed. She's going to make his life miserable because she's angry that she got stuck with, after a relatively short, childless marriage, I assume, she got stuck with a lot of bills for his adult children. We understand each other?
Yes.
Now, how much did you pay on your $20,000 debt?
Over a 5-year period, I paid $300 or $400 a month, sometimes $500 a month. So I don't believe...
Just a second. I don't care what you believe. You came to court.
I have paid. I have.
You have
proof
came to court.
that I
So
paid.
then, before you came to court, you say, how much did you pay on this credit card debt, and when did you stop using the credit card?
I stopped using the card in 2008. I also stopped paying for the card in 2008.
Why?
I had hard times. I was no longer.
Well, that's a difference. Just a second. That's a different story. Hard times is not a reason to stop paying a debt that you owe.
I understand that.
Well, then your father still owes the money.
I know.
And, you know, you won't like it if she comes after your father. Now, why should she pay your bills, Miss Nader?
She shouldn't. She shouldn't be responsible for my bills. But as it was said in the divorce agreement, my dad has accepted responsibility for that, and we're going to figure out a way to get this paid. But since it's his responsibility, I am going to help him.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
You see, he doesn't look as if he can take a whole lot more aggravation.
I know.
And I'm telling you, this lady has a look of being able to make a whole lot of aggravation for him. And she's right. Because you just stopped paying and you said, hell with her.
I had to file bankruptcy. I filed bankruptcy in 2005, and I included that on there.
Included what?
The credit card debt. Because I'm not on that card, but when I went to my attorney, he asked me everything that I paid, and I had been paying for that credit card.
I want to see the judgment that the bankruptcy court vitiated that debt. What?
She continued to charge on it until 2008.
I did use the card again in 2008, but I also continued paying even after 2005.
Just a second.
Yes.
What did you use it for in 2008?
My son had open heart surgery in Boston, and I needed the money to fly to Boston to be with
So
my
you
son.
used that credit card?
I did.
You don't get the car.
I don't get the car?
I just changed my mind.
Why?
Why? Because I don't think you did the right thing.
I continued paying it, too, even after I filed bankruptcy.
You can file bankruptcy for you. That doesn't mean you can include her in the bankruptcy. So let's understand it. You didn't do the right thing. I'm changing my mind. You're 29 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Get a credit card in your own name.
I do have.
Don't use her credit card in 2008, even for your son's heart surgery.
That was in 2007 that I used the card.
Were they married?
Yes, they were. And they gave me permission to use it. I didn't use it fraudulently. They allowed...
You filed for bankruptcy in 2005.
Yes.
And you're telling me that Miss Simpson gave you permission in well, first you said 2008. Now it's 2007.
He had surgery January 2007.
2007 to use that card for heart surgery.
Right.
Did you give her permission for that?
No, ma'am.
In what month did you file for divorce?
December of 2006.
No way did she give you permission. No way did she give you permission. You don't get your car. Now, you don't have to sign over the car to her.
I got something.
You don't have to. Listen, I've changed my mind.
Okay.
Not because what you did was not fraudulent, because I believe it was. I believe that your wife was angry, and you figured out this was a really good way to at least ensure that you had something.
I didn't want her to file bankruptcy.
Yeah, I don't.
So I paid.
Then you should have paid her bills. What advantage did you get from filing a lien against her car? Listen to me carefully. Yes. What financial advantage? None. So you got no financial advantage from signing as a lien holder on the car, except she got a certain amount of emotional satisfaction because she had been taken advantage of financially.
To the tune of $26,000.
You know, women have been taken advantage of by men and their families for time immemorial. You didn't get any advantage by having your name on a piece of paper that you're a lien holder on a car that you'll never drive, right?
Right.
So it was just to give them a hard time because they deserved it. She deserved it. She's a big grown-up girl, grown up enough to have a child, so she's got to take care of her debts. And as far as he's concerned, you picked him.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were dumb enough to have a credit card with him. And you were dumb enough to let his daughter or daughters, have a credit card. You got stuck. Sue him on this.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't think she acted reasonably. After she knew she had no money, she used the credit card, and there is money owed on that credit card. I'm not giving you clear title to the car.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Can I show you?
Your counterclaim?
Judge Judy.
Your counterclaim?
Can I please just show you my bankruptcy and my payments that I continued making the car payments?
Did you pay all the money?
I don't owe her any money.
No.
I paid.
Did you pay all the money?
All the money that I spent while my son was in the hospital, I paid all that back.
Listen to me carefully. In whose name was the card?
The card was in my father's name. My father's and Naomi's.
Right.
Yes.
So you can file for bankruptcy. That doesn't mean that listen carefully, you may have filed for bankruptcy. The people to whom you owed money said, well, she may file for bankruptcy. I still got her on the hook.
I didn't stop paying the card when I filed for bankruptcy.
You didn't pay the $20,000
yes,
that you owed.
I did, ma'am.
Then
I continued
show me,
paying it.
Just a second. I asked you a simple question. You did not give me an answer. You said you racked up $20,000 worth of debt. Do you have $20,000 worth of payments is my question.
I have paid.
That's... Your case is dismissed.
Here. Would you like to look at them?
No. I want you to tell me that if you go outside, you're going to add up what you paid, and it's going to come to $20,000.
Bankruptcy doesn't help, right? That absolves.
Doesn't help
it's
you.
It's supposed to absolve
doesn't
me
help
from
you
all
here.
of my debt.
Doesn't help you here.
I continued
Goodbye.
paying it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I do believe